Hey, my happy shiny puppies. This is Melody Fletcher, your go-to for everything law of attraction and reality creation. And today I've got a treat for you. What follows is an excerpt from one of our live Q&A calls where people just like you, students just like you, were able to ask me questions and I answered them. And today you're going to get one of those. And as you see in the coming weeks, we're going to be rolling out more and more of these. And if you'd like the chance to be a part of one of these Q&A calls for free, then stay to the end of the video and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. All right, I'll see you on the other side. Bye.
So the big question is this: how do we, those of us who feel deep down that we're much more powerful than we've been led to believe, and that there is something to this law of attraction stuff, actually create our own realities? What's the process of simply stepping into the reality of our choice? What about those of us who need this process to make logical, intellectual sense? My name is Melody Fletcher. You've got questions about the technology of reality, and I've got the answers. Welcome to my channel where the law of attraction finally makes some freaking sense.
There she is. Hey, Danielle.
Hi. So I have a comment and a question. The comment is, I would love if you would do an audio version of your book someday. I'm a better listener than reader.
I would love it as well. Hey, House won't let me. So I'm working on that manifestation. I am working on it. It just did not come together at all.
Perfect.
So.
And then I'm having a hard time figuring out how to use LOA. I would like to increase, have better like psychic abilities, channeling abilities, and I can't figure out how to do that the LOA way.
So to have, what is it that you really want to do?
I would like to channel. I would like to have more of a two-way conversation with my guides in the universe. I feel like it's all one way, me talking, and then I'll see numbers, and that's getting very frustrating.
But now, not anymore, right? If you listen to Mago Sato's question,
yes,
where we talked about numbers,
yes,
right?
Yes,
were you
that's
listening?
better.
Hope you were listening. Yeah, that was for you too. The basic process of channeling is the basic process of learning to translate energy, and that is a process that you're already learning how to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So for example, the simplest way to translate energy is to become aware of how you're feeling. That is energy that you're translating in a certain way. Then learning to work with that is learning to work with that energy. So there's a lot of things that have to happen there. You have to become aware of it. You have to accept that it's valid and true information, that it's there for a reason. And then you allow yourself to engage with it instead of running away from it or pushing it away. And then obviously also learning how to interpret energy. That's more of an art than a science, really. And hitting the right frequency, where you're bringing in, because when you're learning how to read energy, it's kind of like learning how to read. You can still pick up shitty books.
Okay.
And then read those. Yeah. And so you want to make sure that you're tapping into the energy that you want to, again, that's learning how to control. What am I focusing on? What am I actually tapping into? Does this feel right for me? Do I want this or do I want to adjust this? Right. So when, for example, I ask you to consider something, to ask yourself something and wait for the answer to occur to you, we're making use of a different mechanism than your intellectual one, your intellectual trying to figure it out mechanism. And that is, in a sense, a receiving mode where you're pushing a question out, letting it go, and letting the answer come to you, which is the beginning of the exact same process that we use to talk to the dead, to channel information. Now, it depends on if you want to be a trance channeler, like, for example, Esther Hicks or Lee Carroll, where basically they're out of the room and an entity comes through and, uses them to talk. Or I don't do that.
No.
In the beginning, I wish I had, and then now I'm glad I don't. I consider myself more of a translator, like in the UN, comes in one and I give it out the other language. More like that, which is all that even trans channeling is. It's still that, but apparently it's better for me if I'm part of the party and it's better for everybody else. And I asked about it very early on in my career. So why can't I be like Esther Hicks? She doesn't seem to have to take responsibility for anything Abraham says. Right? Because I didn't want the blame. I didn't want the responsibility. And my guides are very clear. They're like, number one, you're much more accessible because trans channeling is weird. And it's too weird for many people to accept. And so when you say you could do this, they're like, yeah, okay. Whereas when I do it, it's like, well, you're just talking a bunch of shit. I could do that. Like, yeah, it's a little bit more accessible. And also that more and more people are not going to have to get out of the way in order to let that kind of energy through. It is a skill to let that kind of energy through and it kicks your ass if you're not ready for it. And it challenges you big time, all the time. because you have to get rid of all your inner filters. You have to get rid of your judgment. You have to get rid of your censoring anything. You have to get rid of your worry if it's going to be good enough. You have to get rid of unworthiness. You have to get all of those things are going to get in the way of that process, particularly if you're wanting to do it for other people.
Okay.
Now, doing it for yourself is a little bit easier because there's not so many expectations. There's not so many beliefs about what if it's crap, what if it's not true, you know, I'm going to be embarrassed. That all falls away because it's you with you, right?
Yeah.
And so, but it's the same mechanism. You have to trust what's coming. You have to validate what's coming. So when I first started, when I very, very first started, I was actually a teenager. I didn't tell anybody about this. And I would be able to do yes and no questions, just yes and no questions. I couldn't do anything else, but I could yes and no questions. And I started writing them down as a way of kind of saying, I'm really doing this. I'm validating it, right? And I didn't tell anybody, but I still did it because I wanted to kind of see what this was about. Instead of just dismissing it, I engaged with it. And the more you engage with it, the stronger this stuff gets. Yeah, you have to engage with it from a place of this is actually happening, which in the beginning can be kind of difficult because it's weird and it's a little subtle. And is this really happening? Am I imagining it? I don't know, you know, but you will be led to experiences to help you discern that by setting the intention to learn it and showing the willingness to engage with it.
Okay.
So this isn't, you know, a masterclass on channeling, but essentially, because I mean, you've just gone through LOA Academy, so you have a ton of education. This should have made sense to you.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Good.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Good. You're welcome. Yay. Look at you. You made it all the way to the end of the video. Good for you. So if you'd like a chance to be part of these Q&A calls that we do for free, then all you have to do is get onto my email list. People on my email list get free gifts like this. In fact, I'll even give you another free gift for getting onto my email list, which changes periodically. So I'm not going to tell you what it is so that I can change it, but just check the description down below. Get onto my email list, get your valuable free gift, and you will be invited to take part of one of these Q&A calls yourself where you can ask me whatever you want. Sound like a good deal? I think so. So sign up now, get invited to a Q&A call, and get your own answers. Until then, enjoy the videos every week. Thank you for bringing your light to the world.